Here's a highlight from a recent episode of Booked on Rock. Martin Popoff, the author of the new book Guns N' Roses at 40, which is out now. This chapter on the Appetite for Destruction demo is very interesting. It was produced by Nazareth guitarist Manny Charlton. November Rain was recorded at that time, not included on Appetite. Charlton loved it, but Axl didn't want it on the album. Why do you think that was?
Axl has a clear idea of what he wants. He seems to understand the big picture. He seems to understand sequencing. And yeah, it's you remind me, there was a flirtation with maybe having Paul Stanley produce it. Manny comes in and does this. They end up with Mike Clink, which I think turned out to be brilliant. But who knows what would have happened otherwise. But I think what happened with Mike Clink here and this particular set of songs is they happen to subtly, they catch lightning in a bottle, but if you try to articulate what the production values of that record are, they're fairly conservative, but they're also raw, and they've just got this aggression and bite to them. There's just some sort of unnameable magic to the production of this record, but you'd never say it's an eccentric or weird production or unorthodox production. It just sounds vital. It's got kind of like this steely hard edge, but you still have enough bottom end and you still have enough brightness. And I think one of the special things about the record that makes it so magical, and you actually get it again. So it's nice that you get it again on both the Use Your Illusion albums. But I think the cool thing about it that is a challenging thing, and you don't normally say this about production because you normally talk about how much high end or bottom end or what the drums sound like, is that you get this trademark aggressive, violent, pushing and pulling slash guitar sound. I think that's a big part of the production on this. It really cuts through. It's a little bit like a buzzsaw guitar sound, but not too crazy. It just has enough bite to it that it elevates the songs into this real outlaw bad boy sort of status. So yeah, I don't know how much credit you really need to give to Mike Clink for that, but you could possibly give him quite a bit of credit. Does it come from the fingers? Does it come from the amp choices? Does it come from the engineering? Does it come from the booze and the drugs? Who knows? But fortunately, it is there, and they use them again next time, and it's still there, which is nice. So they recognize that there is this magic to the production tones and the textures on that debut, and I think they recreate that across the Illusion albums again.
Clink had never produced a major album before that. Was this a strategic move by GNR and Geffen? Because they did audition others, including Paul Stanley.
I don't know. Again, that's even more argument for the idea that did he really know what he was doing, or did they just happen to get lucky? I think there is a luck element to what they get here. As visionary as Axl is, I don't think he could have articulated to wind up with this particular production values. But as we talked about, one of the big travesties of hair metal is overproduction, way too many multiple takes of rhythm guitars all playing at the same time, playing the same thing, too much vocals, too much snare drum. They just managed to pare it back, but still have it be powerful. But it's a conservative production. It's a timeless 70s kind of production. There's not a single thing in this production job that sounds dated.
There's a really cool connection with Paul Stanley and Mike Clink that I didn't realize until I was reading the book and then looking this up. Paul Stanley at the time was working on the Crazy Nights album, and that was produced by Ron Nevison. Mike Clink was a trainee of Ron Nevison. I didn't know that. That's pretty cool.
Interesting, yeah.
What do you think it would have sounded like if Paul Stanley produced this? It would have sounded more like, because he wanted it to sound more like maybe a Whitesnake album.
Man, who knows? Number one, Paul is no producer. Paul would be in there. He's not an engineer producer, and he doesn't produce much.
Did he produce New England's album, I believe?
Yeah, New England. And I don't think the KISS albums sound particularly good. I don't think any of those sound particularly good. They're very mid-rangey.
Thin. Crazy Nights is very thin.
Yeah, Crazy Nights is definitely not a good sounding album. It's probably the worst of all those. And Ron Nevison, I don't think particularly ever got that great productions out of bands. We can go through all of them. I'm sure there's some good ones in there, but judging how great this record sounds and how great it sold, you can only go down from there. But who knows? Paul definitely has great songwriting instincts. So I think he could be the kind of producer that would do a good job of picking the songs, changing things around, the parts a little bit, maybe working on the arrangements a little bit, bringing all that vast KISS knowledge to the situation. But again, the silly thing is that you can only go one direction from Appetite for Destruction's success and quality, and that's down. So logically speaking, if we did the math on it, it would turn out a lot worse than it did, because you can't get much better than this. Yeah.